Oh, you want to go on this angle? Tom Kench ate them up. You want to go this way? Oh, well, Volleybear's in front of you and you stunned. Like, there are so many things, and I love how you gave that to me, because, yeah, they have a lot of peel, do Rascal Jester, but they have that counter engage. And that's where the side of AXIZ, they have to pick and choose their fights very importantly, get those picks, or they just can't really go for it. RA Charms are going to be huge from Mega Man in this match.
Exactly, and I think that's the one difference in this matchup from that last one. The
Mm.
engage is a lot more ranged coming from the AXIZ side. When we watched our last game, everything that Burning Core had to do, they had to dive in. They had to full-on commit, but at least AXIZ, they have that out button, and that out button is missing their abilities, and then they can sort of, I suppose, sit back and wait it out. So I don't see AXIZ being put in the same situation that Burning Core did with the sunken cost fallacy from that last game.
Agreed.
However, that could also lead to this game to kind of stagnate and slow down. And if it goes into a game of pushing and macro, you said it before, Rascal Jesters, they're arguably the best in this region right now, and that's not a game that I think AXIZ wins as well.
Swamp, though, is an absolute sinner, and I'm gonna call it Divine Sunderer, Conqueror, Hecarim is my religion. Phase Rush, I'm not about it. I'm not about it at all. Mate, I'll be honest with you, I don't think the extra benefit, I feel like the extra damage that you can do is just far more beneficial. I don't think Phase Rush is really a rune that you need to take on Hecarim at this moment in time. You already have the speed, it's just kind of overkill at most points. And frankly, versus a comp that Rascal Jesters have, you'd actually rather have, like, if you get in there, you want Conqueror stacks to just get going, because you will just dominate, like, a Jinx and a Veigar if you can get on top of them. The big question is if, and I don't think Phase Rush is really gonna be helping us answer that question for you, so a little bit surprised to see that come out. But outside of that, everybody else is playing pretty standard. Obviously, everybody adores Veigar at the moment, because you get to go Predator with him, and then you just get to absolutely run around like a mad lad after you hit 2 items, then you just start getting tanky stats. These top laners are just trading for funsies, and this early game is going to be super important. And a player we haven't even mentioned yet, Formal, but I would like to highlight is Sangchu, because he was such a pivotal member in their win over Crest Gaming Act. Obviously, he absolutely popped off in that match. So it's a lot of pressure is going to be put onto him to kind of find that standout performance and have another huge carry performance. And he's on a Valios, so he's on a good champion for that. It's going to be difficult, though. Yeah, he is, but it's just going to be a tough one because it's not the same team, right?
Yep. It isn't the same team, but I feel like the tools are there for Sangchu's success. This is where I like Dicey's Nautilus pick, is for that Aphelios Nautilus lane, and especially against Soul and Secret. I mean, they've been playing amazing, yes, but the Jinx, Tom Kench, the kill pressure shouldn't really be that threatening unless we see a lot of roams coming from Hachimacha. They are kind of shoved in right now. I don't know. I feel like this should be one that goes Sangchu's way.
I mean, if you land the knock-up with Secret on the Tom Kench into, obviously, then Chompers, you can get a lot of CCing just from the side of the Jinx and the Tom Kench, and it can be a surprising amount of damage that Tom Kench puts out if you can get his passive off, but it really does depend if passive gets procced or not. Hachimecha just casually taking a bit of his health bar, but gets quicker to that camp, and hey, double Scuttle Crab for the side of Rascal Jester.
It's about sending a message as well, just letting Swamp know, you know what, don't even bother looking, it's already gone. And I think Swamp spots that ward and says, all right, fine, you're right, I won't bother this time around. Yeah, that is a, look, when you're juggling and you go for that move, that is when you know 100% there is nothing the opposing jungler can do to steal this Scuttle Crab away. They did that by holding on to the smite, although I do like this response from Swamp, going straight for the invade.
Oh, I mean, you've got to try and get something for your time, and he's going to be finding the chicken camp. The issue is, it's coming up just as it's just respawned, which means he's not really taking anything away from Hachimecha time-wise at this moment in time, as Hachimecha's gone straight up to Golems, was going to rotate around and clear the rest of his jungle. The thing is, with how the timings are working, I don't think this is really going to affect Hachimecha a huge amount. It is sucky that his chickens aren't here, but he'll have a moment to then go to the wolf camp straight away, and it's kind of like, I didn't lose much through this. I'm okay with this. I just get to my bot lane or mid lane faster after this rotation, so... minor gain for Swamp, but Hachimecha is probably still going to hit 5 first, so...
Yeah, it's going to be and be able to play the deeper wards because of the mid and the bot lane actually pushing in favor of Rascal Jesters. If Hachimantra wants to be a bit more aggressive and really start harassing Swamp on their side of the map, they will have that earnest to do so. And considering when you take a look at the jungles, there's really nowhere else to go. And I think that's why we're actually seeing Mega Man start to roam down. AXIZ was aware this could have been the play, but there's not much you can do when trapped in the event horizon.
Oh.
The stun gets them both, but the follow-up damage is not there.
No, it wasn't, and it's a little bit sad for Recap there. Obviously wanted to try and find more damage, but used his full combo and then landed the root. Obviously wasn't expecting them to walk into it at the very end. I don't think anyone would, but I mean, hey, net gain for the side of them, and Ino needs to be a little bit scared of Tol2, because he could definitely flash forward, Q, E, and with his ult going over the top, and definitely could kill Ino. So he's backing, recalling now, gonna TP back in, rotate effectively around, and he's gonna be able to catch most of this wave. So he's not gonna be a huge amount of CS behind, should only be about 4 or 5, but looks like something wants to break out here.
Yeah, this is Secret trying to get their way in, but can't connect on the knockup. Swamp has a peek for the re-engage. The position of the Chompers kind of causes AXIZ to hesitate. They don't go for it this time around. Soul as well, having 0 mana, that would have been a very awkward fight.
Important thing of note that just came in for me, because I just looked at a Discord chat. Recap has an undervoted love currently, and I'm putting words into his mouth, ladies and gentlemen. He loves Veigar specifically because he has a cute walk, and I would agree with him.
You know what? I especially when Veigar starts moving fast, because then like literally
Predator,
skipping around the rift. It's beautiful. I'm gonna have a look at taking that time, I should say. I also had to look for some Discord chats to see what people were messaging me, and apparently I was supposed to be in a meeting, but it got canceled.
Well, that's
so they apologized. I just got an apology that they couldn't make the meeting that I didn't know existed. Fantastic. Anyway, my life is together, Swan. Trust me.
I mean, it sounds it, mate. You planned accordingly. You knew you were going to be able to come to this cast because you knew the meeting was going to get cancelled. It's like you just knew, mate. You're too 5-head sometimes.
Exactly.
That's what we're going to take away from all of this. As it stands currently, Swamp getting a pretty solid engage, and now has actually gotten a level advantage over Hachimecha, who was able to get those double scuttle crabs, but Swamp has been able to effectively do some counter jungling, and has really prevented Hachimecha's momentum going forward. And as it stands currently, AXIZ are actually the ones in the laning phase for the first 8 minutes that are looking pretty good. The issue is, AXIZ have almost always looked good for the first 8 minutes. It's when you get to the 14-minute mark, that's when things have normally fallen apart for them. Because first Rift Herald, first Dragon is normally where they look okay. Obviously though, Rascal Jester was able to secure that first Dragon, and they are equal in gold currently. Ino does have ult, so if he wants to just pop the ult and throw that down, they do have an option. I know Tol2 is coming around, and it seems like
everyone. That's the full AXIZ team, so the Onslaught of Shadows making contact against the Jesters could be massive. Super Mega Death Rocket nearly kills Swamp. The follow-up damage from Recap will secure it as the Slicing Maelstrom actually almost takes down the rest of the Rascal Jesters involved in that fight. Re-engage coming from Mega Man. The charm does not connect, so we don't see that follow through. It's a 1-for-1.
Huge Mega Death Rocket very much assisting the side of Rascal Jester, and Recap getting that win is definitely a beneficiary person you would want to get it on. Hasn't been able to actually even start their mythic really, but I mean that's just how it goes, and this is part of the reason. Recap, you can't really be playing frontline, but thankfully though the box does a decent job, but Hachimecha comes over the top, and then Recap is just always constantly kiting away. He's running away this whole time. He gets into the middle of multiple members, and Sangshu and Tol2 just really make sure they get him. Thankfully though, they're able to get Soul excited. He's able to come up and kind of prevent the side of AXIZ from really collapsing onto Hachimecha and co. And dissuades them from going in, so they're able to just make it a 1-for-1, and nobody else really gets anything else. Rift Herald is still alive, which is probably the funniest thing at the end of all of this.
The thing that surprises me as well about that fight was the fact that it was actually the Jesters who engaged through Secret, I believe at the end of that all, or actually it may have been Dicey. I'm just trying to think of the positioning. I wasn't sure. It looked like the Jesters walked into that fight knowingly, despite the fact that they were the team that was outnumbered. And it kind of goes back to something that I could see being a bit of concern for AXIZ is that go button. Outside of the dredge line and maybe a charm connecting, I think it could become difficult for AXIZ to really commit to some of these fights the later we go in, just because of the threat of the Jesters re-engage, which we did get to see in that fight as well. I mean, the Super Mega Death Rocket, typically not a re-engage tool, but it kind of acted as one. And then following up from that, AXIZ realized as soon as the flashes over the wall, they couldn't really keep that fight going. So I would like to see AXIZ try to actually commit to fights, especially when they have that number advantage in their favor.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, something that they haven't, well, AXIZ haven't normally done well in their match, but they're doing this fantastically here, is they just said, all right, hands up. We just won't fight you for this Rift Herald. First Rift Herald is normally worth fighting for, but if Sangchu can get this many turret plates and waves just funneled into him without much punishment from the side of Rascal Jester, that's pretty great. The issue is Soul actually just rotated around to topside after they got that Rift Herald, and Ino's like, yeah, you can just take two Heralds, and guess what? You can turn off a turret if you have a Volley Bear. Not go for it now, but an option was there.
They still might do it, actually, as, oh my gosh, Shelly getting dragged deep in lane. I don't even think we're going to see a charge. Nope. Shelly was distracted autoing champions right there, so, all right, goodbye, Shelly. Didn't really accomplish too much this time around, although now with the wave crashing, we could see some action. Maybe another time, though. Everyone's going to back away for now.
Nice play from Dicey there. That's really heads up, and it allows them to get there. But however, the issue is, plates going down in bot side. Hachimechi was way in that bush. Swamp!
Uh-oh. Soul and Secret are still waiting around, though, and they actually take their time before springing the trap because they want to go straight for Singchu as the re-engage does come through from Dicey. I don't think it's going to be enough to save the AD carry. Singchu so low. The chase is on the health bars in the Jester's favor. Onslaught of Shadows is countered by a nice Devourer, and on the flank, it is one recap, finding not one but two kills for the team. Although I didn't get credit for them both. That's all. Knockoff doesn't commit. The charm did, and Mega Man will be able to escape.
Oh, that was huge, having Recap rotate around and being basically at parity, running alongside Mega Man in this really awkward kind of mid laners of, who's going to get there first? Recap got there first. Health bars were in the place where they needed it. And the patience they had for Rascal Jester here was huge. It's really trying to allow Sangchu to get out of position, but Sangchu was honestly an absolute mad lad in this whole team fight. Routinely just running as far away, changes guns and goes to red gun so he can actually gain a bunch of health before switching back over to purple gun to actually root so the engage can't continuously keep coming. Yeah, Recap comes around and kills him, but Sangchu really made the side of Rascal Jesters work for it, and that's the big takeaway I'm getting for that. There are so many great moments from AXIZ, and it feels like they're still doing their best Honey impression, even though he's long gone and is now on Sengoku.
I was also really impressed by Secret's timing on the Devourer right there to save Hachamacha as we were looking for the engage. Again, just missing out on that knock-up, and AXIZ wants no part of this. The Dragon gets taken. They're happy with that. They're going to run away. Looks like Secret might want to chase. The wards do get dropped, so it's not going to be a surprise attack from the Jesters, but that's not their goal. Their goal, it's that tower. Can Soul get some autos down on it? It's proving to be too risky this time around.
But you know something I mentioned to you earlier when we were at that 8-minute mark? I was like, oh yeah, it's normally, this is really good for AXIZ, but this is normal for them. This is what we always see. We're getting close to that 40-minute mark, and now it feels like it's a bit different now as, Mega Man.
Now, what was your point going to be? Was it AXIZ is turning it around or looking stronger, or here's where it falls apart? Choose your next words wisely.
It already felt like it. Oh, no!
Which one is it? Because I'm going with the falling apart right now. Yep.
I mean, it was already starting to go there, but small things like Megumin getting caught out in a box where he really shouldn't be getting caught out, especially with a flash still up. It's the kind of thing where you look at it and go, man, this sucks. I felt like AXIZ still have such good pre-10. It's a weird one where you have to go, pre-10 minutes, AXIZ look okay. But then after 10 minutes is where it continuously falls apart, and now at 14 minutes in, multiple turret plates, they only got 3 in this bot side, did the AXIZ team, whereas on the top side, we all know that Soul was able to accrue 3 in the top side, and 2 in the bot lane, which basically equals, well actually no, Ino was the one that took the ones in the bot lane, which overall equals, AXIZ didn't get any real objectives going, and if you look at the gold lead for our 280 carries, they're actually at parity, so, AXIZ are a bit screwed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, especially when I'm looking at the top lane gold
That's
differential,
correct,
that mid
though.
lane gold differential. Yeah. That will help. That's a good chunk of gold actually to Senshu. 500 ahead right now of, one soul, and immediately
That's almost
cash
1k
that one in.
gold now. Yeah, all right. That's something.
I still worry about though in that top lane matchup against Toltu. I feel like that gangplank, that side lane pressure that is slowly growing ever since that Trinity Force has been bought. As I feel has been just been in control of that lane. That's gonna be the Achilles heel. I feel like AXIZ at the end of it all. That and possibly getting caught out right now. Dicey voids the knockup. Charm does make contact. However, it's Tom Kench. Anti-fun, tanky, engagey apparently now. Great, that's awesome. Yeah, he'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, and look at this. You can just tank the turret. Like, tanky boy.
Oh,
How'd you met ya?
The Zap made contact, but they don't commit for the play. So a little bit lucky, I feel like, for Mega Man. They don't get run down.
Yep, but had to pop the ult, so won't have that in case of anything. And I mean, Toltu and I know are just going to continuously bash heads against one another. The one thing though they have to worry, and I'm gonna bring it back to a point you raised, is that Trinity Force now, I know, has very much got pushing power and is more than happy to just play side lane for the rest of this game. And the moment he's left alone, he's going to chunk towers. I'm a little surprised he didn't go for something like a hull breaker, but I mean, maybe he just doesn't want to conform like everybody else does. And you know what? In all fairness, if he's not going to play the side lane, he's going to group a lot and try and match, just as he's doing right now. The moment he saw told to leave that lane, he rotated around. And look at this. Actually, Ino is closer with his team than Toltu is. What?
Yeah, that's not what you would expect to see in this type of situation, especially with Rift Trail now spawning, and it's going to be immediately taken by the Jesters. Meanwhile, I know in that top side, I will say this, Toltu actually has been doing a semi-decent job in, keeping that lane as neutral as possible, but again, it's those other objectives that are now at threat. AXIZ, it's all about picking the right fight. The question is this going to be the one right now? They have all their members there, but the objective is already gone, and AXIZ decides now is not the time to try to pull the trigger.
When will be? That's the question. When will be?
How about now? But it's the Jesters who strike. This time the knockup does make contact. Recap gets the first kill. Might get the second as well. Nope, Secret steals that away. Two quick picks thanks to that Event Horizon. And now Sanchu might have been found out again. Has to try to kind of jump away right there. But the pressure in the mid lane, it's going to be a lot. That should be a tower gone. That's going to be more pressure in the jungle as well. Jesters now taking this game over.
That's a Gale Force, though, from Sangchu, so he's now leaning on his Flash and a Cleanse. If he gets caught out here, big summoners.
Catch a match under Toltu, already gone. Nope, we'll survive. No, never mind. It's that last shot that brings him down. Also falling in that was Swamp. 2 more kills for the Jester as Shelly goes all the way into the base. Now Secret wants to join him. Maybe a little too deep right there. Event Horizon does not make contact, and that means the inhibitor will live.
Yeah, but now they're getting a dragon as well to the side of Rascal Jester. They got 2 turrets in that push, 2 kills for their time. And AXIZ, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. A few 3, 4k gold, you can come back from that. We've seen it before, but yeah, you guys didn't have to fight for this. Mega Man's just going to clear out this pink ward and then is still on vision, and the side of Rascal Jester go, I mean, we can just kill Mega Man here. It's free. Gets collapsed on, dead before the fight even starts out. And then afterwards, it's like, what? Where can Sangchu really do much? I want to pay attention to Sangchu because he's the member on the side of AXIZ where you have to look at the amount of damage. Tries to get some damage out, but he's got red gun, white gun. Great for dueling, but not so great when your whole team is falling apart. And look at this. Sangchu is just always in a spot where he can't really step forward. He's always being pushed around, and when your Aphelios can't actually start putting out damage with red gun, white gun, you're kind of in a bad spot.
Yeah, and that bad spot is one of those ones that just gets worse and worse, I feel like, as the game will progress as well. So AXIZ now sitting in a very deep hole. Very fortunate, I suppose, in a way, that it was only Rift Herald that kind of got taken as part of that.
But Dragon also got.
Oh, yeah, Dragon lost, but it's not Baron.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not Baron. That's what I'm trying to get at. They don't lose Baron. Because Baron, with an already exposed inhibitor, would be a very bad time. But even now, that exposed inhibitor is going to mean so much pressure for the Jesters, especially through the mid one. They can just push that mid wave in. The threat is going to cause AXIZ to kind of rotate around and have to deal with it. And then they just branch off to the sides, control the jungles, control those future neutral objectives. I mean, the Jesters, they are in complete control right now. And if you step too far forward, well, this is what could happen. Swamp, as well as Toltu, in a bit of trouble right here. Swamp actually steps into it thinking, yeah, I want this fight, and leaves poor Toltu on their own. Slicing Maelstrom doesn't do anything, really, and that's another kill for the red team.
I mean, another kill. They already got the turret in the top side, and now they're just going to be brute forcing this. Hey, the recap's in mid. He is more than capable of throwing a cage down in an ideal place, and then going, oh, well, I cleared the wave. What do you want? You can't dive me.
You don't want a base race. That's the last thing you want, especially for a tier 1 tower, even if it is in mid, but they wind up giving away that bot side for free. I mean, Mega Man is just underneath off screen trying to do what they can. It's not much. Swamp was looking for a flank that was never going to work, and now AXIZ, yeah, they're scrambling.
Yeah, scrambling's probably the best way to put it, and you can see how late some of these backs are coming in. The side of AXIZ are definitely not prepared to play on the back foot, and this is something that AXIZ in summer 2021 didn't struggle so much with, but you can see that this is where the AXIZ team are currently struggling, and this is mostly because, and I wonder, Formal, is this a lack of leadership? Is this a lack of experience really showing for the side of AXIZ? Because everyone on their side is a rookie outside of Megamin, who was on their rookie split and was very much learning from Honey and Hoglet a lot last split. Sadly, they haven't been able to really get it together, and they get some wins. They're 4-9, they're definitely getting some, but it's not always against that upper echelon team, and this doesn't feel like the same AXIZ that beat Crest Gaming Act.
No, this feels like an AXIZ that's running around with its head cut off, and we can go back to, well, essentially when the pick started to come through in the Jester's favor, where the game started to fall apart. So it feels like to me, AXIZ, again, to kind of piggyback off that leadership, when you don't have that solid leadership and that solid communication, when things start to go awry from the plan, that's when you rely on the leaders to kind of guide you through it. But if you don't have that adaptability, you don't have that leadership to kind of guide you through it, that's when the team starts to struggle. So I'm in agreement right now. I feel like they're not adaptive because they don't have that experience. It's something that will improve in time, but so far in the spring split, yeah, I don't think it's there yet.
All right, Formal, we've set it up. AXIZ, if you lose this game, and even if you don't make playoffs, it's okay, but look at Soul, and look at Secret!
That's a nice two-man knock-up, and Soul just on the back end of it all, able to throw down any autos that they want, yet they actually walked away to give the kills to the front line. I respect that from my AD carry. That said, Baron now pretty much should be going their way uncontested, unless we want to see a suicide attempt. Even Ino is going to go ahead and teleport up to get involved, and that should be the Baron going their way. Yes, they'll give up a tier 1 mid tower for it. They might even give up the tier 2, although they're already trying to react to it, so it could come at the cost of both Sangchul and Toltu's live recap, leading the charge not quite in range for that event horizon.
Who are we going
No, he stepped back into it. Why would you step back into it?
3?
What?
Oh, Sangchu.
Oh, like Vigil. All right. No. And Mega Man got found out as well. And yeah, this is a big angry bear. The Apex Predator finds another one. Although Swamp might want to get re-involved. They decide not to. Why did Toltu turn around?
So Toltu had ult, right? So you have to imagine he wanted to pop ult. He just didn't expect the cage to come out to stun into the knock-up, which was CC chained. But ultimately, Secret with the huge fine soul, zap, mega death rocket, begins the auto rain, but actually doesn't even begin the auto rain, he just dissuades Sangchu from walking around and rotating, and the whole side of Rascal Jester just go like they are the Cookie Monster and just eat the members of AXIZ that are in front of them. And at this moment in time, they also secured the dragon, they got another objective or two around the map. I mean, this is just Rascal Jester kind of pulling all the strings and just going, oh, there's a loose thread here. And then half of AXIZ's base just falls apart and they're like, huh, well, we'll pull another string. And that's all they're doing. They're picking apart this side. It's 11k. I mean, at some point, we've got to call a spade and a fork a fork. And I think this is a spoon. I think AXIZ are a spoon at this point now. They're not even a shovel.
with a hole in it.
Yeah. Yeah, bless him.
Oh, there we go. That's a nice little bit of engage. Also, Shadows tries to get to the back line, but it doesn't really connect onto Soul, who is still quite healthy, just throwing down autos everywhere. There's the flash forward from Toltu, but by the time he gets to the slicing, Maelstrom's already gone, and all the tools being used to try to get to the back line, yeah, nothing sticks. The end result is already a 4 for none, and Recap lost the flash for this last one. There you go. The Primordial Blast secures it all for the Jesters. That's going to be the game. That's going to be their 10th win of the season as they take care of business against AXIZ.
And a fantastic performance. 25 minutes. Rascal Jester flexing, looking good. First 10 minutes, though, AXIZ should take away with some